everybody, Stephanie Carroll, the Unhinged Historian here. Today for my book recommendation I have for you The Red Garden by Alice Hoffman. Nice barcode there across the cover. I recently did another recommendation of Alice Hoffman for The Dove Keepers, but I want to just give you guys a little heads up that Alice Hoffman is not necessarily a historical fiction writer. She does a couple historical fiction books, but a lot of her stuff is set in modern times. If you've never heard of Alice Hoffman, she's the author of Practical Magic, which became a movie. She always has a very unique voice and a unique style that she brings to her writing, and really interesting magical elements. Hence Practical Magic. That's her thing that seems to tie all of her stuff together. And one of the reasons I love her historical fiction, not only her unique voice and style and research, but because she brings those interesting magical elements into the historical fiction. So, The Red Garden. I'm going to read the back for you here. The Red Garden introduces us to the luminous and haunting world of Blackwell, Massachusetts, capturing the unexpected turns in its history and our own lives. In exquisite prose, Hoffman offers a transforming glimpse of small-town America, presenting us with some 300 years of passion, dark secrets, loyalty, and redemption in a web of tales where characters' lives are intertwined by fate and by their own actions. From the town's founder, a brave young woman from England who has no fear of blizzards or bears, to the young man who runs away to New York City with only his dog for company, the characters in The Red Garden are extraordinary and vivid. A young, wounded Civil War soldier who is saved by a passionate neighbor. A woman who meets a fiercely human historical character, a poet, who falls in love with a blind man. A mysterious traveler who comes to town in the year when summer never arrives. At the center of everyone's lives is a mysterious garden, where only red plants can grow, and where the truth can be found by those who dare to look. Beautifully crafted, shimmering with magic, The Red Garden is as unforgettable as it is moving. So I haven't started reading this book yet, but from reading that back, it's telling you all these interesting things, but it's not really telling you what the story is or, what's the time period. We get the setting of Massachusetts. Immediately you start to think, witches and things like that. But then it starts talking about the Civil War, which, by the way, people, is not the witch trial era. But I have this weird feeling. Something about this says to me that this might be one of those stories where you have a central place. They said the Red Garden, a garden where only red things will grow, is the central place where everything seems to be revolving around. I bet you we actually get to see a bunch of different stories playing throughout history. That's what the back cover kind of says to me, is that it'll be like that. I don't really see any blurbs. Wait. Oh, it has contents page. Usually fiction novels don't have content pages. Hold on, I'm looking for the blurb page. No, I don't see it. Well, this is a Random House book. Looking for a date. Copyright 2011. I have the large print, so that might be why there's no blurbs. There is a page in memory of Albert J. Gerard, the great critic, writer, and teacher who in his 50 years at Harvard and Stanford universities changed the voice of American fiction and also changed my life. Flip to the back and give you a little bit of the author biography. About the author. Alice Hoffman is the best-selling author of more than 25 acclaimed novels, including The Story Sisters, The Third Angel, The Ice Queen, Practical Magic, Here on Earth, The River King, and Skylight Confessions. She has also written 2 books of short stories and 8 books for children and young adults. Her work has been translated into more than 20 languages and published in more than 100 foreign editions. So she's a very well-acclaimed author. Since there's no blurbs and the back cover is a little bit, doesn't really tell you much. I'm looking at the contents right now, table of contents. How about I read a little bit of the first couple pages, give you an idea about what this book has got for us. First chapter, The Bear's House. The town of Blackwell, Massachusetts changed its name in 1786. It had been called Bearsville when it was founded in 1750. But it quickly became apparent that a name such as that did little to encourage new settlers. True, there were nearly as many black bears in the woods than there were pine trees, but there were also more eel in the river than there were ferns sprouting on the banks. You could stick your hand into the murky green shallows and catch half a dozen of the creatures without using bait. If you ventured in waist high, you'd be surrounded in moments. Yet no one considered calling the village Eelsville, even though people ate eel pie on a regular basis. So that's the first page. Now, nowadays people are always talking about how you have to grab the reader within the first page, but come on, nobody really gets grabbed by a book in the first page. So let's skip forward a little bit. Let's see, this is a new chapter. It doesn't have a chapter number, but it's page 33. 8 Nights of Love, 1792. The Tree of Life was planted in the center of Blackwell. People said that when it bloomed, anyone standing beneath its boughs could ask for mercy for his sins. For decades, a town bylaw forbade defacing the tree, but at night, people took cuttings. They secretly planted saplings in their yards, wrapping the tender bark in burlap to ward off the cold. Such thievery was meant to protect the future of the town, which people said would flourish as long as the Tree of Life did. Should the original tree ever be struck by lightning and consumed by the beetles, the cuttings ensured there would be others to take its place. In time, the apples came from these trees. The same fruit that had tempted Adam and Eve came to be called the Blackwell Look No Further. Once you'd come to Blackwell and tasted these apples, you would never need go anywhere else. If the whole world beckoned, you'd still be happy enough to spend your life in this small valley in Massachusetts. Okay, that's a little bit more interesting than that first section with the eels. Now we have the Tree of Life involved. Okay, so now the first date in that chapter 1 was 17-something, 1750, 1786 is what they're talking about. I just skimmed forward to 67 and we have 1848 now. So I bet you this is going to be skipping through time. Let me see what happens if I go. I'm not a fan of reading the last chapter of a book to decide if you want to read it. You know, some people do that. And if you want to, you know, if that's your way. But for me, it's like if I find out what's going to happen at the end, then what's the point of reading it? Looking for a date. Not finding a date. Well, we at least know that there's definitely some time skipping. I'm not seeing any more, not flipping upon any more dates so easily now. Wait. Scratch that. This is page 165. Okay, so this is like halfway through the book, 1945. So we're definitely having some skipping in time. That's what's happening. So these are a bunch of stories. Somehow they're connected throughout time, starting in the 1700s, probably leading up to present day, all surrounding this garden where only red things grow. I actually think it sounds pretty interesting. I don't know about what you guys think. I'm obviously the one that got it from the library, so. I hope you enjoyed this book recommendation and that it helped you find something interesting to read. If you like this kind of fiction, historical fiction with a touch of magical, darkness, or just something bizarre, follow my blog, http://unhingedhistorian.blogspot.com for weekly updates, and I post these videos about every other week or whenever I make a library run and get 20 books. Also check out my website, because if you like this kind of fiction, then you might like the kind of fiction that I write, and I am trying to come out with a book, my first novel, in the next year. A White Room, and if you're interested in that, visit www.stephaniecarroll.net. Thanks for watching, and watch again.